most of you believe that women only care about money, looks, height, muscles, all this kind of jazz, right? And I'm not saying that those things are completely unimportant, because they do have some value, right? But most of those things you can do something about. But really, the things that will lead to you being a highly attractive man are not your jawline and your bank balance, right? They are how you can impact a woman's emotional and feeling state, right? By who you are being, right? So when it comes down to it, it's presence, it's direction, it's your steadiness, it's your kind of masculine core that you can show up with. It's not about how much money you have and how tall you are and if you have big muscles, and that those things are going to lead you to a happy relationship, right? That is not it. And I'm here to tell you and break it down. I'm going to explain exactly what it is, because so many men you'll be commenting on this going, oh, who cares? You don't, what do you know? You know, you look like this and you look like that. So it's no problem for you. But the truth is that I coach men. I coach men all of the time, right? And I have done continuously, right, for the last 6 and on and off for the last 15 years, I've been coaching men, right? And I have seen men who are short, bald, and Asian, right, pick up beautiful women in bars that have wonderful girlfriends, right? And you would look at them and go, how on earth did that guy get that girl? And it's because of who they are, right? Because of the value that who they are that brings to the table. So what's the first thing you need to consider? Emotional safety. Women are far more sensitive to safety than men. Safety for a woman is not just, am I going to get beaten up? Am I going to get hurt? Right? Women are highly sensitive to that, right? Because they're having to spend their whole lives considering and worrying about being raped and being hurt and being groped and being fondled by men, basically, right? So they have to be really sensitive to that level of safety. Like, is this guy a bit weird? Is this guy a bit creepy, right? Is his movements and mannerisms out of alignment with this moment? Is this person plugged into this present moment and me? Or the environment and the social environment? This is the safety piece, right? And most men don't understand this because we are unattuned emotionally to our own deeper emotional experience, but we're unattuned to the women around us. We're unattuned to the environment around us, right? You see it every day. I see it on trains. I see it on the streets, where men will just like do weird fucking shit. They'll just start staring at a woman as she walks down the street, as if no one else can see him. Why? Because he's completely unattuned to the moment, right? Or you go the other way, where men are overly attuned, right? And you are overly sensitive and you're thinking everybody's looking at you, right? And this is the work is coming somewhere in between. So really the safety piece, emotional safety for a woman, is physical, it's emotional, it's sexual, it's psychological. It's like, how plugged in are you to this moment while also being grounded in your own experience? That's that toggle of holding groundedness and also feeling the moment. This is where most men trip up. They think they're safe. They think they're like, oh, I'm a safe man. I'm like, well, do the women in your life feel you're safe? Do women respond to you like you're safe? That is your gauge, not what you think about yourself, but how people respond to you. And safety is something you can cultivate, right? Because usually underneath the safety that we emanate, the emotional safety we emanate, is our fears and our anxieties, our wounds, our trauma that we're not dealing with, our level of overthinking, the stillness that we've cultivated in our own being, the connection we have to our own feelings and emotions, right? And all these things, the stories we tell ourselves, this will impact your level of emotional safety. So that's number one that women really, really look for in a man, right? And it can sometimes look like wealthy men are able to give off this air of safety. And really it comes down to a level of that they're just at ease with themselves, or they look like they are, right? You might not be able to notice their lack of safety, right? And it also might be with wealthy men, especially. I see this. You go to a club and you see some guy get a bottle and it's got the sparklers and all that kind of jazz. And the women flock and you're like, I need to be like him to get women. What you don't realize is that when that drink is finished, those women all leave. You don't want to be that guy. You're just out of pocket, right? The next thing is leadership. And this is something we see in men who you might see wealthy or confident or whatever, is they embody leadership. And that's probably led to the wealth that they have, right? Or the success that they have, because they lead themselves. Women want a man who knows how to lead himself, first of all, and can lead others. That's why power is attractive, because that man can lead himself and lead others. If you can't lead yourself, if you can't wake up in the morning and go to the gym, if you can't look after yourself physically, if you can't decide what you want to do with yourself and find meaning and purpose, you're not leading yourself, right? And then you can't lead a woman anywhere. If you can't lead her anywhere to a deeper experience of love and connection, well, what's your purpose for her, right? You're just going to be taking from her. And there's a study here that I've referenced. It's a 2004 study, right? That showed that women are more attracted to men who combine decisiveness with emotional intelligence, right? Instead of men who lead through control and domination. So what's that? Decisiveness is like clarity. Emotional intelligence is being able to feel her needs, desires, wants. Listening to her, noticing the space, the room, the social space, right? That is masculine leadership, feeling and action. This is the thing, being clear, knowing where you want to go and so forth. Those things are highly attractive. Number 3, confidence and risk-taking. Risk-taking in moderation, right? We don't want to go wild with the risk-taking, jumping out of planes and shit. Confidence is always attractive. And this is why when you look at men who are, say, wealthy or even tall, whatever, you see a man who's confident. He may not actually be confident. I've worked with CEOs, I've worked with serial entrepreneurs and all this, and they may look confident when they are in their work capacity, but when they have to go and talk to women, they're shook, they're scared, they lose all confidence. And you might look at those men because you think they're attractive, and you don't see their lack of confidence because your mind is just on their attractiveness and saying that's all that matters, and the money. What women are attracted to is this confidence. It's a man who can be like, okay, I can do things, right? I can make things happen in my life. He's not kind of hiding, he's leaning forward. And confidence is being able to admit to the difficulties that one is experiencing, has experienced in the past. I say this with a lot of my clients, where I would say, I'd open talks, I'd do big talks for like 100 people or so, and I'd be like, I feel really nervous to be here. And my clients who lack confidence are like, what? I can't believe you said that. Like, how could you say that? What? And I say, why would I not say that? And it always comes down to the like, well, they feel if they said that other people would think that they are not good enough, blah, blah, blah. But I have confidence that it's very normal to feel nervous, right? Or it's very normal to have had a struggle in my life and so forth. Confident men will speak about their struggles from the standpoint of like, I had this struggle. Yeah, normal. Men that lack confidence will talk about struggle and it will almost be like they're trying to explain it away in some way. And they can't link it to an area of growth and betterment. Yeah, there's a small one there for you. Number 4, emotional intelligence and communication. These are probably the tools in a man's toolbox of relationship and life that are most underrated. I reckon if you ask most men, are you emotionally intelligent? They'll say, yeah. They'll say, yeah, I'm a 7, 8 out of 10. It's a bit like self-awareness. Studies have shown that if you ask people how self-aware they are, they'll say they're 7 or 8 out of 10. And what I noticed with men is they lack emotional intelligence in the moments that matter. Meaning in the moments when things get a bit stressful or a bit difficult, or there's some uncertainty, or they don't know how to act, they lose emotional intelligence and they descend into overthinking. And also, a lot of men mistake overthinking for emotional intelligence or emotional rumination for emotional intelligence. They're different things. So a study in 2004 found that emotional attunement, being able to pick up on subtle cues, tone, body language, predicted attraction more than looks and income after 5 minutes of conversation. Right? Isn't that interesting? It was a bigger indicator of attraction, what women found attractive, than looks and income, right? Because there's a subtle cues we have to pick up, the tone of voice, the body language, the things that people don't say, the things that are in between the words, right? That is what's really important. Plus the, adding emotional attunement to like this social attunement, the space you're in. Like, can I say this thing in this space? Is this the right sort of space for that? Am I able to caveat that, oh, what I'm about to say, this might sound a little harsh, because I'm emotionally attuned. I'm socially aware that the thing I'm about to say might be out of alignment with, what is the kind of sensibilities of a space. Emotional intelligence is deep presence in action. You're noticing the tone, you're listening, you're hearing. You hear a, I'm fine, but really there's more than that. These are the things that's really important. This is the thing that creates tension, that creates clarity, that creates you as a man who is really deeply present and aware and curious. And this is what most men lack. They lack this emotional intelligence and communication skills to bring those together. And then they'll blame all their dating and relationship problems on dating apps and on, what's the other word I'm looking for? And on looks and money. When really, when you stand in front of a woman, right, you listening here, she looks at you, you've got no flair, you've got no emotional intelligence, she's feeling uncomfortable, but you don't notice. She likes you and you don't notice because you're still stuck in overthinking and worrying and stressing about yourself and anxiety. And you show a lack of emotional intelligence and attunement, and it erodes at the level of safety she has with you. Because if you're not picking up on the subtle cues and the words and the things in between, long way down the line, when it gets really important, and maybe you're in a sexual moment and you're still not noticing those things, she's in sexual danger with you. And a lot of men don't realize how important it is to be present and emotionally attuned to a woman in that way. Last one, because I think I'm running over time. The last thing was really important is a full and active life, a full, active, purpose-driven life. If your life is watching Netflix, watching porn, playing video games, and daydreaming about things you're never going to do, and ruminating about mistakes you made in the past, you're not attractive to women. As simple as that. The men I work with, one of the things we often do is we start looking at their life in general and the things they do. The more you have a life that you love, the more women will be attracted to you in general. Yeah. If you have an upstream problem of dating at that point, then there's some other things to look at. But most men don't have this. Their lives are small and their lives are boring and their lives are dull and their lives are full of comfort. Right? In a 2024 study, it found men reported high levels of satisfaction and purpose. Men who had more purpose, they were seen as being more attractive, right? Even when they did controlling for appearance and wealth. So men who are more purpose-driven and are happier with their lives are more attractive men. This isn't a study about people being asked, it's a study about what women did, right? Because purpose shows up as direction, purpose, and kind of life satisfaction shows up as action taking. And if you're a woman, you meet a man who has a full and interesting life that he has designed himself because of the things he loves, what do you think a relationship's going to be like with him? It's going to be a full and lively relationship because he's going to design with you, co-created and lead, when appropriate, a lovely, great relationship. If you meet a man and he plays video games all the time, he watches loads of porn, he's sitting on Netflix and he's, ruminating about the things he never did, what's your relationship going to be like? You're going to be sitting at home watching Netflix, watching him play video games, and your life is going to be small. And that's not a life a woman wants to project herself into, right? So, those are the 5 things. I'm not going to go into, I'll go over them quickly. First one, emotional safety and safety in general, right? The multi-level layers of safety for women. Masculine leadership, number 2. Number 3, confidence and risk-taking, really important. Number 4, emotional intelligence and communication. Number 5, a full purpose-driven life. That's what you need to embody. That's what you need to have to be an attractive man. And I'm going to add in a 6th one, and this is a bonus one. This is important because it relates to looks in particular. I believe, and I've seen this to be true, every man can get to a 7 out of 10, right? Every man can get to a 7 out of 10 because it comes down to style. It comes down to grooming. It comes to how he looks after his skin. It comes down to how he looks after his body, the food that he eats, the posture that he holds. All of those things you can do something about. You can go to the gym a few times a week. You can run a couple of times a week, whatever that is for you. You can get some decent skincare products. You can make them from very basic ingredients. You can make sure you eat good, healthy, green food. you can start to work on your posture. There's hundreds of YouTube videos about these things. You can start to dress better, right? You can start to read magazines, go to GQ, you know, you can go and get a stylist at a lot of high street shops. If you're in the UK, like Topshop, where else does it? I can't think where else. And you can be styled by somebody, you know, based on your height, your looks, and so forth. Every man can get himself to a minimum of a 7, right? For the looks category. Ultimately, if he can be bothered. And this is what we see with men who quote unquote good looking. They learn about the intricacies of things like dress sense, how to move through the world, posture, you know, even how to speak well, slow their speech down clearly, all that kind of jazz, which adds to their attractiveness. So instead of complaining that looks and money and wealth and height are stopping you from getting the woman you want, work on the things I've talked about. You know, as I said before in some of my other podcasts, I've got a program coming up that I'm going to be starting probably in February or March, and we will work on so many of the things that we talked about today. A big part of it is this masculine leadership, how to cultivate that in your life in different aspects, how to grow in confidence and self-esteem. Emotional intelligence and communication are just like baked in because it's so important, because we're so devoid of that. And also how to find purpose and meaning in life is all going to be baked into this program that I'm going to be running. So there'll probably be a 6-month container, because I think that's what it takes to really create real change. Anything shorter, we're just starting the change. So if you're interested in that, there's a waitlist down below. You add your name, your email address, some details, and you could be involved. I say involved, it could change your life, right? Until next week. Ciao, ciao.